Okay, Chair, we're live.
Thank you, Joe. Good morning, councillors, officers, members of the public and press. Welcome to this meeting of the Licensing Subcommittee. This meeting will be a remote meeting being live streamed on the website and recorded. I'll now hand you over to Joe from Democratic Services team.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Licensing Subcommittee. I'll just do a quick roll call of everyone in attendance so we know who we've got with us. I'll start off with Councillor Brown. If you could confirm that you can see and hear everyone and that you have all the papers, please.
Yes, I can confirm all of what you just mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hamilton?
Yes, thank you. I've got everything here in front of me and I can hear loud and clear.
Lovely, thank you. And Councillor Storkle?
Yes to all, thank you.
Thank you. We also have Councillor Tony Richardson in attendance.
Yes to all, Joe.
Thank you. In terms of members of the public, we have Lee Pennick on a phone call with us. Are you with us, Mr.
Hello.
Pennick?
Yes, I'm here.
Lovely. I've got Helen Gregory with me.
Yes, and I've got my husband here as well, David Gregory.
Hello there. I also
Hello.
have, hi there, Andrew Briscoe.
Yes, I'm here, thank you.
Hi there. And Daniel Kitching.
Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you very much. I also have Ian Harrison here and Tony McNabb, the legal advisor. And that concludes the roll call, Chair.
Thank you, Joe. Do we have any apologies for absence?
We have no apologies for absence, Chair.
Thank you. So we'll move on to item number 1. And we'll ask Ian to give us a summary, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Good morning, everybody. I'll go through the report verbatim as we have members of the public. So the purpose of this morning's meeting is to consider an application for the variation of a premises licence for Trinity Guesthouse, which is in Church Street at Seaton Carew. The applicant is Mr. Lee Pennick, who is the licence holder for these premises. A copy of the existing premises licence detailing the current licensing activities was attached to the report as Appendix 1. A copy of the application to vary the licence was attached as Appendix 2. A map of the area has been included. And in summary, the applicant has applied to extend the hours for the sale of alcohol to 9 in the morning until 11 at night, 7 days a week. The current hours are 5:30 in the evening till 10:30 in the evening, Monday to Saturday, and midday until 4:30 p.m. on Sundays. As background, the application has been advertised in the prescribed manner and 10 representations were received, all from residents. All of the representations refer to the potential for nuisance should the application be granted. As relevant representations have been received, a hearing must be held for members to consider the application, unless all parties agree that a hearing is unnecessary. Members may wish to note that there is a condition on the current licence stating alcohol shall only be supplied as part of a table meal, and the applicant has not requested that this condition be removed. The breach of a licence condition is a criminal offence. Having regard to the representations received, members may take any of the following steps for the promotion of the licensing objectives: to approve the application in its entirety, to approve the application in part, with or without the addition of further conditions, or to reject the whole or part of the application. The licensing objectives are the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, the prevention of public nuisance, and the protection of children from harm. Members are reminded that they must only consider those aspects of the licence application that are relevant to the representation that have been received. And the recommendation, Chair, is that members consider the representations made by the applicant and the objectors and determine what aspects, if any, of the application should be granted, and if appropriate, what conditions, if any, should be attached. Chair, that concludes the report. I'm happy to answer any questions that members may have based on that report.
Thank you, Ian. Can I ask, do members have any questions for Ian?
I don't have any questions currently, Chair.
Nor do I, thank you, Chair.
And neither do I right at the moment. So we'll move on to Mr. Pennick. Are you there, Mr. Pennick?
Yes, I am, yes.
Right, would you like to put forward your case, please? Thank you.
Well, basically, obviously, over the years, the premises has changed. Obviously, with COVID the last year, we haven't used the licence to its effect with a bar or anything. Anyway, we've sublet the property now to the Seahorse Coffee House, Helen and Dave, which have obviously done a lot of refurbishment and done a good job. Their main business, obviously, is quality coffee, snacks, sandwiches, meals. And they asked, obviously, we wanted to extend the licence for them through the day, mainly. They'll very rarely be probably using it on an evening, even though the licence is already there. Because it's the opening hours at the moment, 11 till 4:30, obviously it's available. They took over the business. There's no bar in there now. So basically, as I see it, most of the time, it's just a subsidiary to what they're doing already to add to, obviously a nice coffee liqueur or a glass of wine with a meal and in the courtyard. So it's not a full-on bar where people can just drop in and drink. The bar's being took out. So basically, the whole thing's changed. And I think some of the objections were irrelevant because they were looking at mainly like a nighttime place, a bar, which it isn't. It's totally different. And I think it was mentioned also about the carvery. I don't operate the carvery from there now, so traffic flow at the front of the building, it doesn't exist no more. We do a takeaway from the rear of the business, which is delivered. And obviously we have a car park at the back. So if there was any after-hour events, we would obviously tell any transport to come to the rear of the building. So I don't see any disturbance in the street at all from the Seahorse Coffee House. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Pennick. Can I ask members if they have any questions for Mr. Pennick?
Chair, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Although Mr. Pennick says that there shouldn't be any issues in terms of changes, the dissent that's come from residents is telling a very different story. And so I suspect Mr. Pennick would have seen those letters of objection. So would you like to comment on that?
Thank you, Leslie. Would you like to answer that, please, Mr. Pennick?
Well, without getting into deep with it, I have a couple of ex-partners in the street, which people might laugh about, but, it doesn't help. Which one of them's probably objected, which originally went for the licence, which obviously I'm not with now. But looking at the objections, I think there's 6 houses in the street. I get on with, at least 4 of them residents. But yes, before there was a bar there and people would have meals and drink, and it's a different operation now. There isn't a bar there now at the front of the building, so it's a totally different operation. And basically, Helen and Dave are running mainly a daytime business, not an evening business. Obviously, the licence we would want to keep for them in case there was any functions booked over, especially Christmas period. But certainly, it's a different operation altogether. And some of the objections as well, when I looked at them, are irrelevant because they don't even live in the street, some people. There may be friends or family of theirs, I'm not sure, but the postcodes aren't relevant.
Chair, can I come back on that, please?
Yes, absolutely, Leslie.
I hear what you're saying, but I suppose if there's only 6 houses in the street and this application was coming forward, wouldn't common sense have been useful to go and speak with those residents in order to alleviate any fears they might have had?
Yeah, you're correct there. Helen was going to do that, but she's been that busy, moving the business, and we had some setbacks with the ceiling having to be replaced and electrics, and we've actually done lots of work to the Trinity, or Helen has as well, and I've moved my business and stuff to the back of there with the unit, so there's been a lot of work going on, and she did invite all the residents when she had an opening last week, but in hindsight, it probably was a little bit late, but she has been busy. We've all been really busy. But like I say, it is a totally different operation. And plus, we've had all these different things going on with COVID and that. So, but yeah, so basically, I don't have a problem with any of the residents. Yes, there's a couple there, obviously, an ex-partner and that, but I don't have any problem. And bear in mind, the street is half commercial. You've got the Stafford next door. You've got Seat Natel, which has always had lots going on in there with residents, and you've got the fish shop. So it's not just residents there, it's obviously commercial as well. But like I say, the operation, Helen and Dave, very professional, and if there was any late night events there with the licence, definitely the taxis will be guided to the rear of the building. And like I say, the late night events will be few and far between, mainly in the festival seasons, I would think.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pennick, can I just ask a quick question? Is the access to the car park done via Church Street itself, or is there an alternative route into that?
No, it's via Crawford Street. You just come down Crawford Street, first right, and we've got about 10 car parking spaces. You can do a U-turn and go straight back out.
Okay, thank you for that. Any more questions for Mr. Pennick?
Not from me, Chair. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, I did have a point to make. I've raised my hand, but I don't think anybody's seen it. I just wanted to reply to the councillor, about the notification. Is that okay for me to speak?
Yes.
Okay. Hi. So yeah, we did fully intend to go around and introduce ourselves, and it was just that, as Lee said, the time ran away with us. However, about 2 days after the licence application notification went in the window, I had arranged for some posters to be made to tell people what it was. So there are about 5 posters in the window that clearly say "Coming soon, the Seahorse Coffee House." And I guess naively, I sort of hoped that the residents would be informed that way. But yes, it was in hindsight, we should have made that time to go around and tell people to ease their minds.
Okay, thank you, Helen. Do I have another question from you, Leslie?
No, I suppose it was just to say, yeah, it's probably been a bit of a learning curve, that one. I think maybe speaking to the people may have alleviated any concerns they might have had, but, you know, it's a learning curve, and I suppose it's something to bear in mind in the future. That was it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, we have Daniel Kitchen, an objector.
Chair, if I may just interrupt for a second.
Yes,
sorry,
go on, Ian.
I'm getting quite a lot of feedback from somebody. I just wondered whether Mr. Pennick, because Mr. Pennick has Andy Briscoe on the line as well. I didn't know whether Mr. Pennick is happy that him and his representatives have said everything that they need to say before you move on to the object there.
Can I just ask that everybody switches the mic off who's not actually speaking, please? Thank you.
Sorry about that. Yeah, it's Lee Pennick. I couldn't hear any of that. I don't know what's going on. The reception was...
Should I say it again, Chair?
Yes, please, Ian.
Please.
I was just saying, Chair, perhaps before we move on to the comments of the objector, it might be appropriate to make sure that Mr. Pennick has said everything he wants to say, because he does have Mr. Briscoe there as well. So I just thought it was appropriate maybe for him to be sure that everyone who was going to speak on his behalf has done so before you move on to the objector.
Yeah, you just want me to speak now, yeah?
Yes, please, Mr. Pennick.
Mr. Briscoe, is it the one to speak, or Mr. Pennick?
Andy, it's whether Lee wants you to say anything on his behalf or whether he doesn't.
All right.
No, I think it's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine for him to speak or not to speak?
No, he doesn't need to speak, I don't think. It's fine.
Right. Okay.
I think it might be an idea if I just so everybody knows exactly what the Seahorse Coffee House is going to be about. Would that be helpful just to explain about how we intend to use the alcohol licence?
Yes, I'd welcome that, Helen. Go
right,
fire
okay.
away.
So we've quickly become established as a really great coffee location in the horse box on the front. And obviously this is the next stage of our development, totally unexpected, but we're on this road and we're just going to go with it. So it's a coffee house. It's all going to be about different types of coffee from all around the world, introducing people to the coffee experience. I guess a bit like we had that surgence with tea, afternoon teas and tea houses a few years ago. And really the alcohol is to supplement to add to our menu. It's not going to be in any shape or form a bar or anywhere where you can come in and only buy alcohol. That's myself and my husband wouldn't want that. We live in Crawford Street, directly opposite the entrance to the car park to the new premises. So we are residents as well. So we're very, very much on the ball with disturbance and what we want for the area. So, you know, I totally understand. We both totally understand how worried the neighbours must have been at the prospect of a potential bar opening. It is 100% not going to be that. But there's a lot of coffee. Just giving you a bit of coffee history. It goes really well with some drinks as well, with aperitifs and some long drinks. So we'd really like to do that sort of thing. Some really exciting combinations that you can get. But you know, this weekend's been lovely. It would have been really nice to be able to perhaps put Pimm's on the menu, you know, sitting in the courtyard in the sunshine, and the amount of people that said, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have a glass of wine, things like that, with their cake and their coffee. It's a supplement that will also be on the menu. It's not our prime focus. I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. Have you got anything else to add, Mr. Pennick?
Well, the only thing I've got that I'd like to say as well, I'm a resident here. I live opposite, obviously, Ellen and Dave, and I live behind the Trinity. So, obviously, I know a lot of neighbours this side, the Crawford Street, and, you know, we've got to respect their wish as well. If there's a problem, I'm sure they'd come and tell us. So, basically, yeah, so Ellen's right in what she's saying. It's just a supplement. It's a totally different operation to what it was before. And that's it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pennick. So can we move on? Daniel Kitchen, are you on the line?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, would you like to speak and put forward what you want to say, please?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of residents, unfortunately, that are working that couldn't make it. So, you know, not only obviously speaking for myself, but just in general conversation with the others. I think naively as have come, you know, years have come on and explained to the council, but not the residents. And that's probably why you've had so many objections, which is a bit of a shame. I guess a key point for me really is that you keep saying, you know, it's not predominantly going to be an alcohol licence and there's not going to be that many late night events, etc., but yet you're still applying for a licence to be extended at late evening. Now, to me, I don't know how many coffee drinkers drink coffee at around 11 p.m, but that's an issue. The residents are concerned predominantly because of the late extension, not so much your extension through the day. Everybody that I've spoke to, all your objections list to pushing that licence later. Nobody said don't drink during the day, you know, if that complements your coffee or the new business. But as I say, I think that everybody's seeing your posters going, fair enough, but nobody knew what was happening. Historically, I think there's been a couple of issues with different residents, maybe from people who've been slightly intoxicated. Our perception of it would be increased traffic, people coming out the front exit, drunk. Our vehicles are parked literally outside of the premise. A lot of that, from what you're saying, if it's going to come from the rear, wouldn't have probably raised as many objections. So I don't know whether that's just been maybe an oversight on your behalf, but from everything that I've listened to, certainly from Lee and from obviously the new people who are going to rent down there, is I still can't understand and justify that pushing it to 11 o'clock. That's my only take on that.
Yeah, can I answer that one?
Hang on a second. Yeah, thank you, Daniel. And yes, Helen, you may answer that.
Yeah. So when we originally spoke, myself and Lee, to the licensing, we were asking it to be from about 11 o'clock in the morning to come back over, which would cover sort of our working hours and reasonable, you know, drinking time. You wouldn't want to really start drinking at 9 o'clock in the morning, I don't think. Plus, we're not going to be open. But it was actually advice from the licensing department said, well, why don't you just apply for the earliest to the latest? And we just said, okay then. And it wasn't really our intention to ever stay open that late. I think it was probably a paperwork, reducing the paperwork sort of thing that we just said, oh, well, we'll do it at once. And again, naively, we're new to the business. I can see why that's 100% upset people.
Thank you, Helen. Can I just ask on the back of that then, Helen? So when do you think you will be trading with the license? 11 till when?
Well, at the moment, our opening hours are 11 till 4:30, but we've only got the courtyard open. We also have the other business, which we have to bring back and unpack and reset for the next day. So we're not intending to be open after probably 6 o'clock. Plus, Daniel's right, the coffee crowd, they're not coming out for a coffee on a night. But I guess looking to the future, potentially, it's, there'll be 2 lovely rooms there that we may occasionally, somebody might want to hire. But, quite happy to sort of look at the temporary event license and stick with the 10:30 finish, if that keeps everybody straight.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions from anybody else?
Dan, can I just ask Daniel where he actually lives?
Is that a direct question?
Hello?
Yeah, Chair. Just to clarify, Chair, that objectors don't have to identify where they live. There isn't a requirement in the Licensing Act for someone to live in the vicinity any longer. So I don't know where Mr. Kitching lives, but I'm just saying there isn't a need for him to disclose that on YouTube.
Okay, thank you for that good advice, Ian. So any other questions?
Not from me.
No.
Chair, there's one from Leslie Hamilton.
Sorry, Leslie.
It's not a question really, it's more of an observation. I just so wish, Helen, people had all of this information before we got to this point, because we maybe wouldn't be here today. It sounds like, as far as a place to visit and have a decent cup of coffee, it all sounds really lovely, and I'm sure once it's up and established, I'm sure the locals will really enjoy it being there. I'm just sad that this information wasn't relayed before now, but I suppose it's like what I said earlier, it's a learning curve, isn't it? And I suppose it's for it's something for the future to bear in mind.
It is, and it's 100% a lesson learned. And I do apologise to all of those people that have, perhaps had some sleepless nights and worry about a potential bar on the doorstep. And that, because I would be exactly the same. I would have responded in the same way. So there's absolutely no animosity from the objections, and I do hope that everybody in the street becomes we are neighbours and they become regulars. Yeah. And I think, to be fair, what we want to achieve is to up the level of what goes on Church Street as well. Hopefully our business will help to improve the other businesses in the area.
Can I just come back on that, please, Chair?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I think my main concern was there was dissent from a resident who was a carer, and having been a carer myself, a lack of sleep is torturous, and I suppose they were well within their rights to feel very concerned. And I think maybe if they had more of that information, it could have. They may have had a different approach, but that's by the by now. But that was just the observation I wanted to make. But thank you.
Okay, if that's it for everybody, can I propose we go into closed session?
Yeah, I'll second that, Chair.
Thank you, Cameron.
Chair, just before everybody leaves.
Yes.
It may be worth mentioning to everybody, unless I'm going to be corrected here, that you're going to go into closed session. There's no reason for people to hang on for the response, because I'm going to presume you're not going to come back and announce your decision. I think what we've been doing over the last year or so is that you make your decision in private, notify me, and then I notify everybody of what your decision was. Can I just clarify whether that is what we're doing today, Joe?
Yes, that's correct, Ian.
Okay, so that's just so it's essentially the end of the meeting for everybody other than the councillors.
Could I ask how long it will take for us to hear?
I would imagine there'll be an answer for you this afternoon, Helen.
Oh, great. Thank you, Ian. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.